Jay Feely, free agent kicker, member of the NFL Players Association Executive Committee, somehow got involved in Deflategate. He was at court yesterday. Don't have any resolution on this, but Jay, kind enough to join us. Jay, can you explain to us, the audience, how you got involved in Deflategate?
Hey, Dan. How are you?
Good, bud.
I was asked by the judge to come in. He asked for a member of the executive committee from both the Players Association as well as the NFL ownership. So John Mayer and I both came in to try and help to bridge the gap and to try and get this asinine situation over with. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. We weren't able to come to common ground and find a solution for both parties that would have ended this and had some type of resolution. So now it goes to Judge Berman, and he's going to make a ruling today or tomorrow.
Take me inside the room. What goes on? What's said?
I never thought I'd hear Dan Patrick say that to me, for sure.
What's going on during these negotiations or lack thereof?
Well, yesterday wasn't much. I mean, yesterday was basically he brought the owners into one room and found out where they were going to get to. What was your best offer? And brought us into a room and basically asked Tom, where he was willing to go. And because there was no way to bridge that gap, there wasn't much to do. So he adjourned court and said, I'll make my decision.
What was the NFL's best offer?
Well, Dan, they talked in semantics. Basically what it came down to, the big difference was that Tom Brady was not going to admit to culpability. He wasn't going to admit to something that he didn't do. If they wanted to find something and they would have said that he didn't cooperate with the investigation, then we could have probably found common ground. But their insistence that he admit that the Wells report was accurate and his insistence that he didn't do anything wrong and he wasn't going to admit to something that he didn't do meant that there was no common ground.
All right, what happened with you and the Jets? What was it, back in 2008 with the football?
It was 2009. So when I was with the Jets, and let me just take you back, every quarterback and every kicker deals a lot with their equipment guys because they're preparing the balls, and that has a direct impact on their job. So most of the guys, myself included, would tip the equipment guys to give them an incentive to do a good job. I did that on every team I was with. I did that with the Jets. I've done it, in Arizona when I was there. And most of the quarterbacks would do the same thing. The difference with the kicking balls versus the quarterback balls is that they only get 20 minutes prior to the game. They're with the other equipment guy from the opposing team, and you have an official watching you. So it's a much more organized process. The equipment manager for the Jets at the time had added a pad to the back of his brush. He said he did it for his comfort because it dug into his hand. Well, the Patriots guy in that particular game complained about it, and they filed a complaint with the NFL. Now, that may have gone back to a lot of the stuff that was going back and forth between the Jets and the Patriots, all the way back to Spygate. But in any sense, they called the Jets, the NFL did, and logged that complaint, and he was suspended.
The equipment guy.
The equipment guy was suspended, correct. So the way, and this is why the NFLPA in our brief, why we talked about this situation, they didn't come to me and say that I had done anything wrong, which I hadn't done anything wrong. They didn't launch an investigation. I wasn't suspected of doing something illegal, which didn't happen. So that was a big point in our brief, was that the way that they handled that situation compared to the way they handled the Tom Brady situation was very different. And I think that's a big key because one of the ways that Judge Berman could overturn this arbitration ruling is to say that the process itself was arbitrary and capricious. If there's not consistency among the way you treat the same type of situations, then the judge will have a problem, and that's one of the ways that he could rule for Brady.
Is the NFL just trying to save face here, Jay?
I believe so. I think Dan, from day one, this is just ridiculous. Let's say, basically, what they're saying and the way they've acted is, even if it happened, which I don't believe that it did in any way, but even if it did happen, they responded to something that was a small speeding ticket like it was a homicide case.
But did Brady tell you he didn't do anything wrong?
He did, multiple times.
Okay, explain to me what Robert Kraft is paying $1 million fine for and losing 2 high draft picks.
I can't answer that.
But why did he do that?
Because he thought, I believe, this is conjecture, but I believe he thought that him accepting the fine and standing down was best for the NFL in general and would help his team move forward and would help his quarterback get less of a penalty.
But it doesn't.
It didn't. He made a mistake, and he said now that he made a mistake, and he should have fought it. I mean, this whole thing is asinine. The fact that we're still talking about this instead of excited about the season, and the fact that it became such a big deal. I mean, I think the NFL got backed into a corner from day one that they couldn't get out of, and they've had to try to save face and fight their way out of it and say that their marquee player who's never gotten in trouble was conduct detrimental to the league and did something wrong.
When are you told the judge makes his ruling?
He said he would make it either today or tomorrow.
But what do you think?
Well, I think yesterday he was pretty much done. I think probably he was about 90% done with his ruling. And he had a few questions for both sides. And I think it'll happen quickly. I wouldn't be surprised to have a ruling today.
And what do you expect that to be?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I could make arguments for both sides. There's only been 19 cases when judges have overturned arbitration hearings. But interestingly, Dan, one of those cases was Judge Berman about 4 months ago. So I could see him. I know that he did not like the process. I know that he wasn't happy with the NFL and the way in which it went down. And there was many instances where he questioned them vigorously. And so I don't know if that leads him, if it's enough of an arbitrary process that he says that he's going to overturn that ruling. What I could see him doing is overturning it and sending it back to a neutral arbitrator, which would then prolong it, and Brady would probably play the entire season, and we'd be back at square one.
Is Commissioner Goodell good for the NFL?
I think he's done some good things. I think his biggest hindrance has been his refusal to go to neutral arbitration. When you look at all of their big mistakes, whether it was Star Caps, the bounty scandal, Ray Rice, it's because he didn't have a neutral arbitrator. And if the process seems unfair, inherently unfair to the players, to the general public, then it's not a good process.
Yeah, I just think it's so embarrassing.
It is.
How this is all played out. You know, do I think there's something that went on with the Patriots? Yes, because Robert Kraft would not pay $1 million and give up 2 high draft picks. I think he hurt Brady's case more than the Wells report did. But, yeah, I don't know how this judge rules. I don't think anybody can handicap it. But it just feels like Tom Brady opening night is going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots. So.
Well, I think you're right, because I think either way, but even if Brady loses, the NFLPA and Tom are going to appeal it. They'll probably get a stay. And he'll play opening night. So I think either way, whether he wins or loses, he's going to play opening night.
Great to talk to you again, Jay.
All right, Dan.
We'll catch up again. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
All right, Jay Feely, NFL kicker, now part of the NFL Players Association.